welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me are two men who are going to record this episode while falling from a helicopter into a pool that's about 200 miles below them. Phil Briggs and Adam Hodgins.
I actually learned the technique to fall into a pool from about 200 miles up. Apparently, if you kind of angle your way in, that's a safe way to do it. So, I don't know.
If often what I say to myself when I watch a film is if you could have the power, the magic wand to change one thing about this movie to make it better, what would that one change be, big or small? And in this movie, it would only be to have him yell cannonball as he jumps out of the helicopter.
Oh, just you
right?
Can't see me.
Oh, yes!
That's the one.
Like, yeah. Just like have him crank like a can opener or something. It'd be amazing.
And then Ashley Scott, his girlfriend, just yells, I guess Molly Porter yells, cannonball!
Right.
And then Miles Jackson goes, what? And then he blows up.
Mark, you've been in the film industry and the convention scene for many years, correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Way too long.
Have you ever met Ashley Scott?
Same shows, but you've worked with me twice. I never talked to any of the celebrities. Right. I always, cause I had the Florida run. I had people to talk to, breaks.
Busy man.
Yeah. And also, since they always sent me in to do the hard jobs, like, hey, actually, we don't have, so the handlers, when there's no coffee, they're like, hey, Mark, go tell that person that there's no coffee. Like, they never talk to you anyway, and they'll just hate you. And I'm like, okay. So I was the guy who, I didn't want to be too friendly with people, because when I had to go tell them that there was no coffee, they're like, well, we weren't friends beforehand, so I just don't like you. Not like, we were friends, but now I'm going to give you the cold shoulder. So I was that guy.
Right.
Like, I was so I stayed away from everybody on sets, film sets. I actually got thrown off when people were nice to me. Like when a celebrity was like, hey, Mark, how you doing? I'm like, what? So yeah,
them.
I just froze. I just did the Ricky Bobby where he lifts his arm up when he's being interviewed.
That's right.
So that was...
Yeah, because I have a theory, and I have nothing to base it on except my own ideas. But I think she's got to be 20% larger than average, the average leading lady. Because she's in this movie with John Cena, and she's in she's in Walking Tall with The Rock, and does not appear out of proportion with these giant men.
So in Hollywood size, it's a little taller than she's, what, 5'5", is what you're saying?
I'd say she's like 5'9".
5'9". Well, that makes sense because, yeah, she was in movies with Dwayne Johnson and John Cena, and Cena's 6'1". I did have to walk next to Cena in Wizard World Philly 2012, and I'm taller than he is, but he's a brick. Like, no wonder he could pick up. I saw him live once. I went to a WWE event, and it was him, the Great Khali, and Umaga in the final. That was the headliner of the night.
WWE Hall of Famer, the Great Khali.
The Great Khali.
That's right.
But he picked up both of them.
Any night of the year.
He picked up both of them. And I'm just...
Yeah.
John Cena was, still is, will be... Dude's a brick. So I
want to say he's so brick-like, like so like muscular, and just like he's almost like unhuman a little bit. Like I have a hard time relating to his human characters because I'm like he's something else.
I felt terrible for that cell phone he was holding.
Oh,
Phil, did you worry about that cell phone during this movie?
Yeah, I worried about the cell phones actually throughout, and it was funny to see, the role that 2008 cell phone technology played at some of the pivotal points in this movie, and I'm sure we'll get into it later. But it was really interesting and hilarious to see him carrying around that little flip phone the entire movie.
I was worried for its life.
There was also no less than 6 close-up shots of John Cena's massive foot on the gas pedal.
You know what I do love about that? So I watched this movie for the first time since it was released.
Right.
So I just thought, okay, I remember liking this. Renny Harlin is my spirit animal. I'm going to like this. I watched it again, and I just kind of thought, uh-oh. And
yeah.
I did. I was kind of like, ooh. But then I listened to the commentaries from this, and I watched all the behind-the-scenes features. Then I realized that this is only a $20 million budgeted movie. I listened to John Cena speak. I love hearing him on podcasts, commentaries, and I'm not trying to be reductive towards him, but he's an incredibly intelligent guy. Hearing him speak, he gets it. And then I watched the making of. So he did when he's in cop cars, when everything's not crazy, he did his own driving. He took a driving school for this. He was in the fire truck while a stunt driver to the right of him strapped in was driving. And when he has a fear of heights, so they dropped him from that rope. Renny Harlin had to trick him because he almost quit the movie during the scene where he's sliding down the rope. What I love about this movie is that the story's kind of funky. Danny Fisher's not even shown as a character for the most part until like 20 some minutes in, but it's very analog. You see the car smashing other cars. You see,
I'll give it that.
You feel the sweat. So I just watched Fast Five, and the only person sweating is Dwayne Johnson. And in this movie, everybody's sweating. People are dropping from buildings. There's real explosions. It's very analog. Like Renny Harlin took a chance in this film. I mean, he brought in the cinematographer is the guy who shot David Boyd, the Friday Night Lights TV show, which is brilliant, but it's shot very documentary style. And so that's what they had, 3 cameras rolling at all times on this. So after watching all the extras and hearing the commentaries, I almost just want to tell people to listen to the commentaries and extras and not watch the movie. Am I wrong, Phil?
I think you're right. And really, I read an interview with Cena somewhere as well, where he said, he really felt that this was a much more relatable character that the audience would connect with compared to, say, the Marine. And so he was all in. He was going for it for sure. And I completely agree. You really feel from a cinematic perspective, like you are right in the center of the action from start to finish with this.
So
I love that about it, right?
I didn't watch any of the making of or the commentary. So answer me this, and I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but I do want to point this out. Did Renny Harlin or anybody make any references to speed when they were doing the commentary?
No. He kind of mentioned that he had done Die Hard before, because this is kind of a Die Hard with a vengeance scenario where it's supposedly revenge, and then it's all meant to steal. It's basically Speed. Yeah, I mean, you get on the thing, you got to stop the train.
If we break it down, it starts off with 2 cops in uniform doing one thing, thwarting like a bad guy, who then plans revenge in the future on one cop specifically. And then there's even like a wonky winch situation where like John Cena coming out of off the skyscraper there on the goes and it stops and it goes again. So that it borrowed that, and then they're on the bomb with a bus. And if you watch, the bus number is 50-50. Yeah. And the bus number in Speed was 25-25, so exactly double. So I think he was trying to say this movie is twice as good as Speed. What maybe most feel like I was watching Speed was, like you guys are saying, that like very analog, visceral, real. It felt like it was made in 93.
And I love that about it. And we also have to look at where Renny Harlin was in his career at the time. So Renny Harlin, I mean, when we look at him in the 90s with all of his kind of, in his pomp, for lack of a better word, I mean, he knocked out Die Hard 2, massive film. Cliffhanger, massive film. I love Cutthroat Island. I'm never gonna, I'll stick up for that all the time. Long Kiss Goodnight was beautiful. But then he did Deep Blue Sea, which that made a lot of money. It's a great film. But then he moved on to Driven, which lost the studio money. Then he moved on to Exorcist, which was kind of a debacle. The Covenant was a minor hit. But then he had Cleaner, which didn't even get a theatrical release. So when he made 12 Rounds, I think he was hired because they had this Die Hard script. They had $20 million, and he just knew how to make it. Like, the writer was like, yeah, we're going to be shooting in Chicago. He's like, no, we have $20 million. We're shooting in New Orleans. You can't afford, a $20 million movie in LA, New York, or Chicago would not look like this picture, as sprawling as it is. And which I think maybe it was too sprawling for the $20 million budget, but I think I give Renny Harlin a pass because at this time, I think he had to take what was given to him. And so they gave him this, they gave him $20 million. They said, listen, the Marine didn't change the wheel at all, but it made, I don't know if you guys know this, it made bank on DVD. I don't know, everybody was buying the Marine on DVD.
I bought it on DVD.
Yeah,
I bought it on DVD.
So did I.
Yep.
I watched the 3 of them. I don't know if I saw the 4, but they just thought, you know what?
There's 7 of them now.
Oh, God. So I just think they thought, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We have this Die Hard Speed scenario movie. We have the dude from The Wire and, well, not yet Game of Thrones, Aidan Gillen.
Yeah.
This dude can make a $20 million movie look like a $40 million movie. So I think that's why he got it. And to his credit, I'm really sticking up for him here. If I just watched the movie, Adam, you and I would be on the same page. But I think.
No, and I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying I did not enjoy this movie.
Oh, okay.
You put this because I love Speed, and I love, like, you know me, Mark. When we talk about what we're going to do, I'm like, hey, let's do a 90s action movie because that's where I live and breathe. And this, I think, did a great job of being an homage to that. And in no way am I complaining about it. I'm just saying it felt a little bit like they leaned into the Speed/Die Hard situation.
I mean, they didn't lean into it. They, like, Hercules pushed. Like, you know, at the end of, well, The Legend of Hercules, when he pushed with Scott Adkins, everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
When he pushes the Scott pillar down. When he pushes the pillar down, like, that's what Renny was leaning into. I mean, this was full lean.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm happy we did this because I have never had such a flip between feeling weird about a movie and then loving it after watching the extras. So I don't know.
Okay,
I dig it.
I have a question to ask you guys so maybe this was addressed in the commentary. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But something I had never seen before in my life is in the opening, or like when you flash forward to John Cena and he's a cop and he's talking to Ashley Scott and they're moving into their house and he's looking for his badge at the beginning. He has his belt over his shoulder. And I've never seen that before, but then I was like, but that's how he carries his wrestling belt.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
His gun belt is over his shoulder as if it's the championship of the world.
Was the clip on his belt spinning around in circles?
I imagine it would have been off screen, yes.
How else could he have held it? With just one end and then it dragging on the ground? Is that a way someone held the belt?
I think The Rock did that one point in time. But I think, like, in any other movie, he would just have it on and he's looking for his badge. Oh, I need to find my badge. But he's got it over his shoulder like he's going to WrestleMania.
Maybe he got mixed up because he was still doing Raw at the time. So maybe this was a Tuesday and he had just gotten done on the wrestling on a Monday night. He didn't have much sleep. This is the first shot in the morning.
Right.
He has his Monster Energy and he just has it on his shoulder.
And in all honesty, if that's the extent to which, you know, his wrestling instincts carried into this movie, I don't think that's that bad. I'd never seen this movie prior to watching it the other day in preparation for this. I was really looking for, you know, is Cena going to be doing wrestling moves in this? Like, is he going to be dropping 5-knuckle shuffles and that sort of thing? And, you know, I was surprised to see that there really wasn't any of that. So, you know, if that is the extent to which, you know, there's a wrestling homage or reference in this, then that's pretty minimal, which was a bit surprising for me.
Well, because there was nothing else in the film, I was like, is this intentional or am I projecting onto the movie?
I mean, I see it now. I never noticed it, but I was too worried about the sink and how he was supposed to get it taken care of, and then he just completely flaked on it. And then she was in there trying to take care of it, but there's still water all over the wood floor. I've had water damage in my house. You get towels on that immediately. I know it's draining, but you got to get some towels down. Maybe she had just found it. I'll give her credit on that. So I was just thinking, this guy, like, he won't marry her after 7 years, and that's fine, whatever. I'm not making any judgments, but he's like, yeah, man, you've been with her for 7 years. Like, you moved in. You know, like, just when are you going to do this? And then he forgets about the sink, and you're like, what, is he busy? Is being a detective gotten him so busy? I was asking those questions, not the belt on the shoulder.
So, but again, I want to say this. The three of us are all married to wonderful ladies. I know them. I know all of our wives. They're fantastic. But I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say, when you've been married as long as we have, you have some scuffles. You have some disagreements. You have some moments that are not pleasant. Their interaction about the sink may have been cold, but I felt they played it too much. Like, oh my goodness, like, at the end he's like, do you trust me? I was like, of course she trusts you. You guys are in a helicopter that's going to explode in a second. She's going to say, no, I got something else. And then boom, she just explodes. So I felt like the stakes of their marriage was on the rock for that moment. I didn't think it was enough.
See, I think one of the things that I found confusing is that Cena, he's got the look down, right? Like, the guy clearly is, you know, a winner. He's an action hero. But I wondered throughout the whole movie, like, is this character Danny, does he have his stuff